Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jon Brenneman, and let me start out by thanking you for joining us on the signature group to Venice in the Jewels of Veneto. I think most everybody has their documents. Those who don't have them yet, I've spoken to. We just need to get you registered with Uniworld, and then they'll release those documents. If you received your documents, there's actually 5 attachments that come with it. I think most of the information we're going to go over today is included somewhere in one of those 5 attachments. But to make life simpler for everybody, I thought I would go through, hit the high points, and then answer any questions anybody might have. If you take your mouse and you kind of scroll it over the bottom of the screen, it should pop up a little menu. You'll see the one that says Q&A that's got the 2 conversation bubbles. If you just want to drop your questions in there as you think of them, I'm kind of going to go through a relatively quick presentation. And then we're going to open it up to Q&A, make sure that all of your questions are answered. So without any further ado, I wanted to introduce you to your hosts for this cruise. Jim O'Brien, who you can hopefully see in your little window, Amanda Centers, and then Tom Waldhauser are going to be the 3 hosts that are on board. Jim, I don't know if you want to say hi to everybody since you're here. You will meet them when you board the ship. They will actually be on the ship before you. So when you board it on the 8th, they will meet you when you board. For those of you who've been on a signature group before, or I guess you would have seen the information as well. We do name tags for everyone. They are 2-sided. They come with a lanyard. We ask you to wear those as much as possible. There will be people on the ship who are not part of our group, so that will kind of make it easier for us to identify you as a member, and it will help you to identify other MOA members as well. Real quick, I thought I would start with the itinerary. I'm sure you've all seen the itinerary before, the map, but here is one of the important things, I guess I would say, that is in those documents you received, and this is the schedule at a glance. So this is our cruise, as you can see. Our events are not going to be on this, but you'll be reminded of them on board. But we will have a kind of welcome get-together reception on the first day that you're on board. So on that first day after you get on board, you check in, you get in your room and everything. We're having our own welcome kind of reception or whatever. It'll be in the main dining room. And it will be from 4 to 5 on that first day. At least that is the current schedule. For those of you who've river cruised before, their schedules are somewhat flexible. That's why when we kind of look at the itinerary, they're much more AM, PM kind of itineraries rather than specific times. But as of right now, our welcome reception is 4 p.m. day 1 in the dining room. But Jim and Amanda, when you board, they'll give you your name tags. We'll also have those passenger manifests, which is everybody in the group that's on board. And a lot of times people will meet people and want to keep in contact. So they'll have that information for you, and they'll remind you at that time as well. The first day, people a lot of times ask how the shore excursions work. It's obviously a very important part of your vacation. So I'm just going to kind of go through this real quick. On day 2, there are 2 excursions. On the excursions, they're all included except one that I'll talk about. So they're all included. You can go on as many or as few as you'd like. Don't need to sign up in advance. They'll actually ask you to sign up on board. Now, day 2, since everybody just got on day 1, are open to everybody. So in the morning, there is a walk that will be escorted. They do have the headsets. If you've done an excursion with the headsets before, that way when you're kind of walking around, particularly in crowded locations, that you can hear everybody. The crews will be broken up into several groups because of the size that you have. Obviously, you can't walk around 100. Well, you could try, but it's unwielding to have all 120, 130 guests, whichever are going to be on board, moving together. So they will have a shore excursion talk. The tour director will go through and kind of do a presentation on all of the excursions, at which time she'll hand everybody a sign up sheet where you sign up for the excursions you want. These are all designed, except the one I'm going to talk about, which is a masterpiece collection. I'm going to talk about that next. They're all designed to accommodate everyone that wants to go on it. So even if you sign up for something, and I'm just going to jump ahead to day 6, where you can see that you have a choice of the Po Delta Saline or the Castello del Cadajo. I probably pronounced that wrong, where you can select which one you want to do. Let's say that you pick option A, you go to dinner on day 3, day 4, whenever that is, you meet another couple or another group of people, and you decide that you want to go on the same excursion they are. All you need to do is go to the registration desk or the tour desk. The tour director will be at her desk pretty much every morning and in the afternoon. She may be off of the ship while people are on excursions. But you can just either go to registration or tour director desk and just let them know, hey, I don't want to do option A, I want to do option B. They'll change it for you. As long as you give them like a day's notice. So come back to it. So on day 2, there's not a sign-up sheet. So it'll almost be a, meet at 9 a.m. off the ship if you want to go on the walk on day 2. And then there's an evening out. This is an exclusive event that's closed to the public. I would highly recommend that everybody go unless you're absolutely just so tired you can't make it. These private events, to me, are always kind of the highlights, because if you've been to Venice before, I was about to say we've all been to Venice, but for those of you who've been to Venice before, it can be really crowded, particularly during the summer. So the ability to visit St. Mark's in the evening when it's closed to the public and we actually go inside, or you'll actually go inside without the crowd. Anyway, so on day 2, they're scheduled to have that shore excursion talk, and then they go through the next one. You can see on day 3, you have a choice in the morning and one in the afternoon, or the PM, I guess. Just to reiterate, you choose which one you want to go to in the morning, and then you are able to go on the one in the afternoon if you'd like. You are not limited to one a day. You can do A or B, and then the evening one as well. So you can kind of see, hopefully that kind of explains how the excursions work. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. Anyway, so any questions on the excursions, go ahead, drop them in now, but it's not anything that you need to sign up for in advance. Day 1 or day 2, I guess, is sort of scheduled that everybody will attend those. You don't have to if you don't want to, but in that afternoon on day 2, they'll have a short excursion talk. They'll give you a sign-up sheet, and then you kind of let them know on the days where there's options, which are most of them. You just let them know what you want to do. Okay. So if you look, there's a column that says Masterpiece Collection. These are the excursions that have limited space, and there's an additional charge. So if you want to go to this Jewish ghetto excursion, it is in the PM, so you'd still be able to go on one of those morning excursions, but you'll need to sign up for it. You can sign up on the ship, or you can sign up in advance. And here's the information on it. So you can see it's 2 hours. It kind of gives you a description. This is on their website. The price for it is $117 if you purchase it in advance. It's 99 euros when you're on board. I want to talk real quick about onboard purchases. As you all hopefully know, one of the MOA exclusive amenities that you receive on the Uniworld Signature Group is $150 per person onboard credit. That's US dollars. everything on the ship is priced in euros. So when you board on the ship, when you board the ship, they will convert that $150 to euros, and that's what you end up having as spending money. The reason being, if you look at this, if you decide to do this excursion, it's 99 euros. They have an onboard gift shop where they have items. By the way, almost everything in the gift shop is going to be priced under 100 euros. You can get bottled wine. There's a spa if you want spa treatments. And since all of those are priced on board in euros, what we'll do as soon as you get on board, your 150 US dollars will be converted to euros. To give you an idea, we just did the Paris and Normandy cruises. The exchange rate hasn't changed that much, and your $150 became 138 euros on that trip. But they'll let you know when you board the ship. Instead of $150, it'll show 135 or 140 euro, whatever that is. If this is something you want to do, the Masterpiece collections are limited. So you can either purchase it in advance. You'll see it's actually a little less on board. Or if you want to purchase it on board, I would suggest either doing it day 1 or 2. It's rare these sell out. I think on Paris and Normandy, we had 1 or 2 of them that sold out, and that would be 1 on each cruise or maybe 1 on both cruises. So it's nothing I'd be really concerned about, but if you really want to go, might as well sign up sooner rather than later. It is the only Masterpiece collection excursion on this itinerary. So if you do not want to go on this excursion, then you have $300 that you need to spend on something. I know we've talked about this before. Almost all the liquor is included. They have what they call ultra premium. The example I always use is like Johnny Walker Red, Johnny Walker Black is available. If you want Johnny Walker Blue, that's available for an additional charge. It is a reduced charge, so it's not like $75 for Johnny Walker Blue or $100 like you'd pay in Kansas City or on one of the coasts. But there is a charge for it. I know I'm a tequila drinker. They have Don Julio 1942 on there. I think it's like $30, which is less than half the way you'd pay in Kansas City, which is already a little bit inexpensive. But anyway, I'm sure you'll be reminded on board, don't just leave that money. When I did Paris and Normandy, it's like on the first cruise, I got my daughter a bracelet and a stuffed animal. On the second cruise, I got my wife a necklace. It was $138. That is the only thing that I used to spend my money on, because I didn't do any of the Masterpiece collections, nor did I buy any premium liquor, nor did I do any spa treatments or that whatever. So just keep that in mind that, if worst case scenario, buy yourself a Uniworld polo shirt rather than let it go to waste. Okay, weather. Everybody asks about the weather. At some point it comes up. We do this for all the signature groups. We go to AccuWeather. You can kind of see it's kind of consistent when you're going to be there, that the highs are going to be in the 70s and the lows are going to be in the mid 50s. There is a section on what to wear in that information you received. Layers is the thing they always talk about. But during the day, you can wear whatever you want. It's going to be in the 70s, maybe mid 70s, maybe even warmer. So wear whatever you're comfortable. Comfortable shoes are always a must. You're going to be doing a lot of walking, maybe biking, if you select that as an option. So it's always nice to have something light, particularly like a light windbreaker in case it sprinkles or rains or anything like that. And in the evening, in the dining room, they don't want shorts, they don't want jeans. Don't really have to wear a jacket. They do have, if you look at the itinerary, they do kind of mention that they have a captain's welcome reception and a captain's farewell reception. They kind of lean towards people maybe being a little dressier on those nights. Certainly not required. As long as you're not wearing shorts and flip-flops, you should be fine. But yeah, for dinner, a polo shirt, khakis for a guy, for women, sundress, slacks and a shirt, whatever you're comfortable in. It is not a really dressy cruise. So during the day, whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable, keep in mind what your excursion's going to be. And then in the evening, I guess they call it country club casual. So no, you don't need to bring sequin dresses. Guys, you don't have to bring a sports coat. If you bring one, maybe one. Don't need ties unless you're somebody who really likes wearing ties. I think the attire is pretty straightforward. Any questions, obviously? Okay. All of the Uniworld cruises now, you may have seen this in your information, have a 1970s dance party. I just grabbed 3 quick pictures that I had um, from the Normandy cruises, either Normandy, the June 2nd or the June 9th. We had some people, as you can see, that really went with it. It was a lot of fun. I would recommend bringing something that night. I think would be a really fun event if you want to do it involved. But of course, you don't have to dress up. I think if you look in the background of the pictures, you can see people who didn't. But I think that's because a lot of people were hesitant on how many people would actually do it. While we're on this page where we have the photos, one of the things you'll probably hear on the ship as well, but what we do on signature groups is we actually do photo albums where everyone can upload their photos. And then once all the photos are uploaded, you can download photos as well. So we ask people to take a lot of photos, but if you see an opportunity to take pictures of your other MOA members, go ahead and snap it. If everybody is snapping pictures of the group, then when you go to the page, you'll actually be able to download pictures of you and your group or you and your partner that other people took, if that makes sense. If everybody takes pictures of everybody, everybody will have pictures that other people took for them. So pretty straightforward. If anybody wants, let me know. I could share the photo albums from like the June 2nd or the June 9th album so you can kind of get an idea. They actually post these on the MOA website. So MOA actually does these photo albums. So after the cruise, you will be emailed a link. It's a Flickr, if you're familiar with that, a Flickr page. So you'll get an email and it's like, upload your pictures to this page. I think it's a great addition if you participate because, you know, we're going to have 70 plus people on board, you know, so you got 35 couples or 70 people taking photos. You end up with a great photo album of pictures, not only that you took, that other people took, that you're free to download. Okay, that is pretty much the high points that I wanted to go over. I see we have 4 questions. How do you change my transportation on passenger manifest? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but if you look at your cruise ticket, one of the 5 things you'll receive is your cruise ticket, which will list your transfers. The transfers are based on the flight schedule that you uploaded when you registered with Uniworld, because you need to pre-register for the cruise. We did have a couple of people, actually several people, who mentioned that they thought or they did upload their flight schedules, but they were listed without transfers. So if you want to transfer from the airport to the cruise ship, send me or your agent an email. We need to know what your flight schedule is. And what we'll do is we'll actually submit that to Uniworld on your behalf. So you'll sit there and say, I'm on Delta 192. It departs Atlanta at 8:10 p.m. It arrives in Venice at 8:45 a.m. That's the information that we supply to Uniworld, and then they'll schedule your transfer accordingly. Same thing if you want a transfer at the end of the cruise from the ship back to the airport. We just need flight times and cities. So if the transfer information is not correct, drop us an email. I think most of those got handled. I think we had 4 or 5 people who had changes. All of those have been added. So just drop us an email as soon as possible. There will be a time when Uniworld says it is too late for us to continue to add transfers. They actually have that date scheduled as 45 days in advance. But as I just said, so far this week, we've already gotten it added for 4 or 5 people. So if you want transfers, get back with me this week for sure, so we don't have a situation where Uniworld says we're now within, 14 days, because they have to schedule the transfers. I mean, keep in mind that they schedule this based upon arrival times, because they have transfer vans that go from the airport to the ship round trip like that. So at some point, we can't make too many changes, or it's not going to work. Where's the cruise companion? I don't see it in the email, Virginia. There should have been 5 attachments when we sent you your documents. They were the cruise companion, the cruise ticket, the welcome letter, the port location, and the schedule at a glance. I'll just make a note, Virginia. I'll just resend you your documents and make sure all 5 attachments are there. And then you can look at the cruise companion. It's like the cruise companion is like a brochure they send to anybody that goes on a Uniworld cruise. So it is more river cruising and Uniworld centric. It's not this itinerary centric, but that's where you're going to find stuff like the what to pack and that kind of stuff, which we kind of just went over. Do you need my passport number now? Uh, Sharon, I don't. You need to actually enter that when you register with Uniworld. I know you were mentioning earlier today you had an issue. When the webinar's over, give us a call. Mike or myself or somebody can help you with that registration, but you need to register because they won't release your documents unless you do. Day one, what time, latest time must we be on the ship? Okay. For those who've never been on river cruises before, river cruising is different in ocean cruising in the sense, and if you've been on a webinar before, you've heard me talk about this before, it is basically a floating hotel. So when your flight lands, you'll be met by someone with a Uniworld sign. That's if you have transfers, and they will take you to the vehicle and they will drop you off at the ship. When you get to the ship, you walk on. People have asked about their cruise tickets and stuff like that. You don't need any documentation to get on the ship. Imagine going to a hotel, right? Think of a hotel when you think river cruise ship. So you walk in, there's registration, and I say my name is, Jon Brenneman, and that's all that's required to check in. They have your information. If you get there in the morning, they are going to tell you that they have your bags. Your bags will appear in your room. The room should be available sometime around 2 or 3 p.m. Once you check in at the front desk, as I mentioned, Jim and Amanda will be there. They'll give you your luggage tags. They'll give you your manifest. You are now free to do whatever you'd like. You have the open bar. You can go up to the lounge and get a cocktail. If you were there in time for lunch, you're invited to have lunch while you're on board. They have your luggage. You can also get off the ship and shop or wander around and get back on. On the first day, they ask you to be on a ship an hour before it sails. Every other day, they're going to ask you to be on board 30 minutes before the ship sails. So, yeah, and kind of to take that forward, the same thing on disembarkation. So in the morning of disembarkation, they're going to ask you after breakfast to vacate your stateroom. They need to clean all of the rooms, disinfect them, everything else for the next group that's coming on board. So after breakfast, they're going to ask you to vacate your stateroom, but you do not need to leave the ship. They will have done luggage tags. They have a color coding system for their luggage tags as well, but it's literally just for them to make sure you get on the right shuttle. But they'll tell you a time like your shuttle is departing at, your your shuttle departs at 9 a.m. or noon or whenever that is. So after breakfast, if it's time for your shuttle, obviously you disembark for your shuttle. If it's not, they now have your luggage. You can get on and off however you'd like. Once again, think of a hotel. If you're in a hotel and you check out, they'll watch your bags for you. It's not like a doorman. You don't have to tip anybody, but they'll still watch your bags for you. And then you can get on and off. You can go to the lounge. If you're there at lunchtime, you can have lunch. So it is a much more kind of relaxed kind of atmosphere, I guess I would say. All right, getting a lot of questions. Okay. Can you use American credit cards on board any excursions? It is going to be cash free on board the ship. So you can use your American Express card to kind of put that down to do charges. But if you were to go to the excursion desk or the tour, the tour director's desk and say, I want to do the Jewish ghetto tour, they'll just charge your onboard account. If you get a wine or, a drink or, buy a gift or whatever it is, anything you purchase on board goes to your onboard account, and then you'll need a credit card to pay that onboard account. But you don't actually use an American Express card to pay for anything. Everything goes on your account. And keep in mind, everyone is going to start out with, we'll just say 138-ish, $138 per person euro onboard credit. And so you start out with that on your account. And then as you buy stuff, that account will go down. Okay. How are we getting from the airport to the boat? If you have Uniworld transfers, they will pick you up the airport and take you to the boat. I don't know what a vaporette is. Sorry. What is recommended for cash or euros? Yeah, Thomas, if you want to drop me an email or give me a call or kind of rephrase that, I'm not really sure what you're asking for is how you're getting to the airport for the boat. They will pick you up in a van at the airport. And if the question is, does the van take you to the ship or does the van take you to like a tender to get you to the ship? I don't have the answer to that question right now. I guess I could ask Uniworld, but the key to me would be is if you have Uniworld transfers, they will pick you up the airport and they will get you to the ship. So if you have Uniworld transfers, I don't think you really have anything to worry about. What is recommended for cash or euros? I just got back from vacation. I literally just took the euros that I had that were left over from my last trip. So I didn't make a separate effort to go out and get euros. Most everything I see says your best conversion rate is your credit card. So making a purchase on your credit card, their conversion fee, for lack of a better term, is probably lower than you're going to get if you go to like a currency exchange kind of thing, like a Travelex. You can also use your ATM cards or your debit cards if you have one to pull euros out of an ATM. Literally on the ship, you can't spend them, so you don't need cash or euros because you can't spend them. All your tips are included. Keep in mind for everybody on board the ship, so you don't need any cash or anything for that. Now, the bus drivers and the tour guides on your excursions, that is entirely up to you. They may mention something about tipping the tour guides and the bus drivers on the excursions. That's up to you. But if you want to get a few, euros to tip them, I can't think of any reason why you'd need US cash on this trip. But if you want to get some euros, it's easy enough to get them like at an ATM. You can also bring cash and they'll do an exchange for US cash. I guess there is a reason you might need US cash. The other thing you can do is you can give them US cash at the registration desk and they will exchange it from euros. The exchange rate is probably equal to what you'd get from like a Travelex or something like that, or any place that does currency exchange. I don't think the ship is significantly better. It's definitely not significantly worse, but when you change currency, there's always a fee. Oh, sure, Jim. Happy to fix it. Okay, Virginia found that. Please confirm email that should be used to add flight information this week for transfers reservations. Okay, Mary, if you want to, if you don't currently have transfers and you want us to add them, send the email as quickly as possible. The best email address, I guess, is I'll just have you send it to me. My email address is Jon, no H, so JON at MOA VAC, which is short for vacation. So Victor Alpha Charlie. So Jon at moavac.com. But literally, you can send it to your agent. You can send it mail at MOAVAC. You can send it to any email address you have. Whomever you send it to, if you got Steve or Lisa or Mike or whomever's your agent, or if you send it to the mail at Moavac, they're just going to forward it to me anyway. I will go to Uniworld and I'll get the transfers, or yeah, I'll get the transfers added. So yeah, Mary, if you could send that email over right away, that would be perfect. What kind of electrical system does the ship have? The outlets in your stateroom will be both. So you can either bring a universal converter or you can just bring your US plugs. You can bring both, depending on how many things you have plug in. Although most plugins now have multiple things to plug in, that will not be an issue. There's plenty of places to plug in without having to use a converter. But for example, like the hair dryer that's in the room, will use their converter because they have hair dryers or whatever. So there are some plugs that are not US plugs, but it's typically for that type of thing, where you can plug in your hair dryer or something like that. Will luggage tags be provided? No. Um, they don't need luggage tags on when you arrive. Okay, so you're going to arrive, you're going to go through customs, you're going to get your luggage, you're going to leave the luggage area, and when you leave that secured area where you pick up your luggage, when you walk out of that, that's when you'll see the person with the sign for the transfer. So you're gonna grab your own bags, I guess is what to say. Everyone is going to grab their own bags and wheel them out. It is a small enough ship. It's not like the big ocean liners where they tag everything to keep track of it. So, they'll put your bags on the bus when you get off. People from the ship will actually come out and get your luggage from the shuttle. And so when you check in, you'll just say like, these are my bags, and they'll show up in your room when your room's available. And as I said, the luggage tags that they give you on the ship is just for disembarkation. They're color coded by the transfer. So as you can imagine, everybody's getting off the ship, so they have transfers that leave at different time. They have the 6 a.m. one, the 7, the 8, whatever those numbers are, and it's no set thing because they schedule those to fill up the bus, so to speak. Um, they'll do color codes, so when you put your bags out the night before, they know what shuttle you're on. But always make sure your bags are on the shuttle. So typically, what you'll have is when you go to the shuttle bus, your bags will not be under the bus. Your bags will be sitting outside next to the bus. So you go to the driver or the person from the ship that's helping, and you say this bag and this bag, and you watch your bags go onto the bus. But as I said, the colored tags are really just so to help Uniworld. So when they're taking all the bags, they go, this is the 8 o'clock shuttle, this is the 9:15 shuttle, and those types of things. Unfortunately, Stephen, no one from Brenco will be joining on this cruise. We have the three MOA people, Amanda, Jim, and Tom, who are going to go. And so they will be on board to help if you need anything. So we only need spending cash when we're out in town. Yes. And thanks, Jim, for asking that, because that's something I wanted to add as far as the cash or the euros rather than I am before. If you're doing shopping, almost most all the restaurants and bars and most of the places will take credit cards. But if you're doing some of that kind of street shopping, little mom and pop shops or little knickknacks or what people are selling on the street, not all of those will take credit card. So yeah, it's good to have, I mean, if you can get it from your bank here, that's great, or buy it on the ship or go to an ATM. I can't imagine. I don't know how much shopping you're going to do. You know how much shopping you're going to do. So, 50, 100 euros should be plenty, I would think. How do we pay the $5 tax fee for walking in Venice? That'll be covered by the ship, as far as I know. I'm not. I You should email your agent. How about that? I don't know who Anonymous is, so I don't know who to address that to, but I don't know what $5 tax you're talking about. If that's for people who are not part of the Uniworld cruise, then I don't know about it. Uniworld has said nothing about there being a $5 fee for people to walk in Europe or in Venice, so I assume they're covering it. If you plan to arrive earlier, the ship says your right place, store luggage, or do you just have to take everything? Once again, I don't know who Anonymous is. I would reach out to your agent. A reminder for everybody, I'm not a travel agent, so some of these kind of technical questions I might not know the answer to. Um, is there a recommended place to store your luggage? I would store it at the hotel I was staying at. I know of nowhere that you can store luggage for a cruise. So if you come in early and stay at a hotel, I would just keep it in my hotel room. Uh, Uniworld does not provide transfers from a hotel to the ship, nor do they provide transfers on any day other than the day of embarkation and the day of disembarkation. So I mentioned it earlier, but they contract with a third party company, which will pick people up at the ship, take them to the airport, pick people up at the airport, bring them back to the ship, and they kind of do that loop. So if you think of it, you got people getting off and people getting on the same day. So a van will fill up with people who are getting off, go to the airport, pick up people, come back. They typically have two of them running at the same time because it's about a half an hour to the airport from where the ship is located. So they only do that. So there is no way, people ask this every time, there is no way for the schedule that they are on for them to stop anywhere other than the airport and the ship. So that's the only stops that they make. Wi-Fi is provided on the ship. It is free. Um, the one thing I will say about Wi-Fi is probably the same that everybody knows. You're cruising. Well, you're not. You're on a lagoon. Never mind. I was going to say you're cruising on a river, and sometimes there's dead spots. There may be dead spots on the lagoon, but probably not as likely as river cruising. So that shouldn't be an issue. Even smaller than Viking, cozy and exclusive. Yeah, I will say most ships on a river are the same size. They make them as large as they can make them to go through the locks. Now, in ours, we don't have to go through locks. It's basically a river cruise ship that's going to be sailing the lagoon. I don't know if Viking does this itinerary, and I don't know what size their ship is. But for example, we did Duro River a couple of years ago. Those locks are smaller, so the ship we were on had a maximum capacity of I think 50 people or 50 rooms, 100 people, whereas other rivers they're larger ships. So, um, yeah, there you go. I think we're excited for you to be on there. Well, thanks, Steve. I'll miss you too. Uh, Okay. When I traveled in Europe last year, I had trouble with the US credit card two-step security check. It timeout continually. Has that improved? Clyde, I'll be honest, I have no idea what you're talking about as far as two-step security check. I can tell you that when I escorted the Normandy groups on June 2nd, June 9th, and I actually just got back from vacation last week, the only issue I had with credit cards was there was a few places that didn't want to take American Express, so I used Visa instead. Most of them now have that just tap on top. So on most of them, I just tapped my credit card. Didn't have any issues. I may have inserted it a couple of times since my cards have chips. But I have not heard anything about two-step security check on credit cards. So sorry, Clyde. I did not experience that, and I use my credit cards almost daily on vacation and never had an issue. Uh, Jim Prime in Venice. I honestly don't know that. I know that the groups, I think, the whole safety and numbers kind of thing on a walking tour, you may have 20 people in a group, maybe more than that, but you're going to have a guide and 20 people who are all going to have headsets on that are moving around together. Uh, I honestly wouldn't have any concerns when you're in a group like that. One of the great things we found with the BOA groups is members look out for other members. If you're off on your own, I would say exercise caution. There is no security alerts that I have seen from the US government about Italy or about Venice, but always be safe. is I guess what I would say. Okay, that would seem to be the end of the questions so far. Oops, beginning. There you go. If there are no other questions, I will go ahead and sign off. We did record this, so I will send everyone in the group a copy of this recording if you want to revisit it. Once again, if there's an issue with your transfers, let me know sooner rather than later, because we are already inside we're inside the kind of time when it's too late to add them. But Uniworld is a great partner of ours, and they make exceptions. So yeah, if I have a couple more I need to submit today, I'll submit them today, tomorrow. But let's get all of that taken care of. Other than that, it's going to be a fantastic cruise. I know Jim, Amanda, and Tom are going to take a great care of everybody. The email that we sent out, make sure you make note of their cell numbers. Of course, you can always call Mike or I or your agent, but if you have an early morning arrival in Venice, if there's a problem with the excursion or a problem with your luggage or your flight's delayed or any of that type of stuff, you're going to want to get a hold of Jim or Amanda. Always easier, because keep in mind they are going to be on the ship. They have a lot that they are doing with checking people in, name tags, everything else. From experience, it is much easier if you text them as compared to call them, because if you call them and they can't pick up the call and they call you back, instead of going back and forth trying to catch each other, easiest to text each other. Just drop Jim and or Amanda a text and say, hey, my flight's delayed. Can you let Uniworld know, because I'm going to miss my scheduled transfer time, or whatever that may be. If you drop them a text, they will be there to take care of all of that. So I guess that's it. Jim, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, thanks, John. I'm excited as well about the trip. Just for the group, this should be my third Uniworld, but unfortunately, COVID took me out 2 days before my trip to Portugal. 5 years ago, I went on the Normandy 75th cruise, and it was a trip of a lifetime. And I really expect this trip to be the trip of a lifetime for all of us. We're all going to make new friends, and as John has said several times, Amanda and I, we're party people. We like to have fun. We want to make sure everybody has a good time. So whatever you need, check in with us, and we'll be there. It's not really our day job, but we're looking forward to meeting a lot of MOA people and new MOA friends. So what John said, I just want to stress again, if you need anything, send us a text,
Yep.
and we'll make sure we all have a good time in Venice.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a wonderful time. Um, as I said, so everybody will get a copy of this. Any questions come up between now and then, feel free to reach out to your agent. They are your best resource always, up until the trip starts, because up until you get on the plane and head out to Venice, MOA Vacations, myself, Mike, your rep, we're all here to help any way we can. We talked already about, I don't have transfers. We'll go in and we'll work with Uniworld and get the transfers added. So between now and when you depart for Venice, contact MOA Vacations. Once you're in Venice, because of the time change, that morning you get there, if you have any issues, you want to get a hold of Jim and Amanda. And then once again, they're on the ship. And so it's easier to go to Jim or Amanda and say, hey, here's what I need. I can't imagine. I can just tell you from having just done the 2 Paris and Normandies, literally, if you've never been on Uniworld before, they do an amazing job. I can't imagine you'll have any issues. It's always little things. The biggest ask we had at Uniworld on the June 9th Normandy is we wanted to do our own little memorial service on board. So I went to the tour desk and asked if they could get me 120 roses, all the same color. And they went out and got me 120 roses. They were all kind of a yellow, pinkish, tingish white kind of thing. They're actually really beautiful. So, the Uniworld people are there to make sure you have as much fun as possible. Jim and Amanda are there just kind of ensure that it's stress free. If there's anything any concerns you have, go to them. They'll get it taken care of. If they can't take care of it themselves, they know who to reach, who can get it taken care of. So it is going to be a phenomenal cruise. Sorry, I'm not going to be there. I hope everyone has a wonderful time, and we hope to see you in a future one. Thanks everybody for joining us today.